fellow
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
All right. All right, that's it. 3, 2, 1. Woo! Hello, everyone. It is us, the Model Citizens Media Group, and we're back at it this week, episode 10.
No, it's
And
11.
11.
12, 13, 11. And we got a lot of different things this week. First time hosting, so this will be fun. And I'm Grant Callahan, the best coffee guy and the only one who doesn't have kids in this group. And to
True.
my right.
Wait, does Mario have kids?
In this current call.
This
This current call.
Secret Mario daddy.
Oh no. To my right on my screen is Logan. How you doing, Logan?
Hi, I'm excited to see what we're ranking.
I didn't even mention the tier list, did I yet?
No, we will. We'll talk
No.
about it.
We have a tier list coming up later. And we have
Inspired by former presidents.
if only. We have two people. To my bottom left on my screen is Maxwell.
Hello, I am remote tonight, whenever this episode. I'm alone with my child, so I'm recording remotely in my bedroom.
So there's potential for Max to drop out to go tend to his child.
There is.
Absolutely.
The pixel could die.
What's the thing that Daniel Day-Lewis screams in that oil movie? I've abandoned my child! Do you know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever seen that movie?
Blood?
Yeah, There Will Be Blood. I've abandoned my boy! I've abandoned
I
my
wanna see it.
child!
I've seen it. It was a long time ago.
It's been a while since I've seen
It's
it.
on my
too.
wish list.
I have not seen it. And then to my other bottom right is Michael Rudiz, the king himself.
What on earth
my
just
God.
happened?
That's what happens when you pay for Discord. You get a soundboard.
Hold on, I pay
Oh.
for Discord. What can I do? I won't figure it out because I'm recording this.
But yes, how you doing, Mike? Or is that all your intro?
I thought that was a fine intro. I'm good though.
All right. So sweet. Yeah, this week we got a tier list coming up, but no one knows what it is but me. But first, anything different and new going on in our lives right now? I think I started a coffee job since the last one officially and started working there, which has been challenging and fun. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff with it. But anyone else?
Is that your is that your now second job? Like that's your it's second job.
Yep.
How has working a second job been?
Honestly, because they know I'm working another job 40 hours, they're like, you're not here to get extra money, you're just here to learn. So I work like 1 or 2 days a week, which is fine.
I thought you were gonna say they don't pay me or something.
Yeah.
They're like, we know you work elsewhere, so we don't give you money, boy.
Well, I literally walked into the interview, I was like, this is a second job. I'm not even here for the money. I just want to learn. I was like, you can give me minimum wage for all I care, because I just want to learn about the trade and everything.
What do they actually pay you? Out of curiosity, I'm curious what like coffee shop, local, single coffee, because this isn't a chain. They only have the one location, right?
Not anymore.
Oh,
They will have 4 by the end of the year. 2
Interesting.
in Carmel, 1 in Zionsville, or no, yeah, 1 in Zionsville, and 1 in West Lafayette.
Ew.
And then they're expanding a little bit. They're now in Walmart. You can buy their coffee there. And
Wow.
a few other places. Yep. And they're now doing blends and dark roast in a couple months. So that will be fun. But yeah, really working 2 jobs is not that bad. 2 hours, and if it's during the weekday, I'll work 1 hour like behind the bar since they're open till 6, and then I'll clean the last hour, which is really like nice and therapeutic. Just be like, nice to slow down the day, just clean the coffee shop, blast Persona
I was gonna say, is that when you play the Persona music?
Yes. I blasted that open too, and everyone's like, what the heck? We sound like a coffee shop.
They're like, why is this song repeating every 2 minutes?
I'm like, no, it's a long song, trust me. It's only like 3 days long. Just gotta get to it.
If you owned a bar, you could play the Catherine's.
The Spoke Brooks.
Yes.
Spoken Brooks. Deluxe, the 2 versions. There's like the smooth jazz version, then there's just the normal version.
Yes.
I played that song too at the end of the day. That, and I've just blasted Hairspray there too before, and the other person who's clean is like, "What the heck is going on? Why is Zac Efron singing?"
Oh, that version of Hairspray.
The one with John Travolta as a lady?
Yeah,
Mm.
that role is traditionally played by men. Edna, Mrs. Turnblatt.
I would not know. I don't know anything about that other than John Travolta and the name of it.
You need to see it just once. It's good. I have it on 4K. It's amazing.
Just like the Prince of Egypt.
Yeah, Prince of Egypt. What a phenomenal disc movie to have in my hand now.
I kind of
Has
want
everyone-
that.
Has everyone seen it? Max recently saw it, right?
We watched like 30 minutes of it before we left because the child was not having it. I've seen it a long time ago.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the Prince of Egypt.
I might watch it soon with Passover coming up / Easter. I mean, not that I'm like Jewish, but it is like the Passover film. So
So there's holiday movies for Passover, and that's one of them. Is there any others?
the 10 Commandments.
I haven't seen that movie. If that's a movie.
Are you trying to do a got 'em here?
No, I'm not.
They're like, is there
Are
any
you
other
being
movies? And I'm like, no.
No.
Not that I can think of.
Oh my gosh.
The 10
Oh my
Commandments
goodness
used to
gracious.
always play on network TV every year, I remember.
Oh, I never watched network TV. That's why.
It was
Mike,
on.
have you seen The Prince of Egypt?
It would have been a long time ago.
But have you seen it?
Yeah, I
You-
mean, at some point I probably did. I don't remember it, but
Wow. You need to watch
it's like Anastasia. Like I've seen Anastasia, I don't remember it.
It's like, it's unironically like one of the best animated movies ever. Like, no joke. Like, full stop.
What's the Rotten Tomato score on this movie?
Probably like 100. I'm not
I
even
gotta
kidding.
look
It's
this up.
probably dummy high.
What's it? Prince of Egypt?
Yeah,
Yes.
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt is
All you need to know is Steve Martin and Martin Short are the voice of the two.
Wow, it's a lot lower than
magicians.
I thought. 79%.
79, 90% audience.
All
score.
the 21% who gave it downvotes are probably all atheists
I can't believe this.
or Egyptians. What are the other?
Yeah, I don't know. I never really I never really watched a lot of religious things growing up.
Well, this is like the thing about this movie. Not to get on like a whole Prince of Egypt thing tangent, but
This is a DreamWorks movie.
I was gonna say that's a DreamWorks movie. It's literally, I think, their first movie they ever made. They're just like, "Hi, we're DreamWorks. Here's the Prince of Egypt. Next, we're gonna make Shrek." And everybody's like, "What?"
I don't think that's how that works.
Well, they also made. This was kind of that era of DreamWorks where it was. They did Joseph, King of Dreams,
Yeah, but that was like
El Dorado.
terrible. Oh, that
I
was
remember
also
El
terrible.
Dorado.
But it was that animation style for DreamWorks.
Oh, they did.
I remember liking El Dorado
Ants
a
was,
lot.
Ants was their first movie.
Ants
Oh,
was there? That's a good movie. That's a
That's-
very good first movie.
That's a good movie.
that movie stinks. That movie's like,
I think that movie has an. I think that movie has like a.
No,
90
their
on
first-
Rotten Tomatoes.
their first movie was
Yeah, it was Ants.
it Ants? I don't think
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ants.
first film Ants.
Not October
And their
2nd,
latest
1999.
film, Puss in
1998.
Boots, The Last Wish.
A 92 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I kind of
Wow.
want to see that because I keep seeing memes about it. I'm
I
like,
It's
bought
so
it.
good.
I
It's
bought
so-
it. I'm gonna watch it
It's so good. I've told
Why'd
you.
you
it's so
buy
good.
it? Mac,
because
stop
I had
peacocking.
$10 of credit on Amazon that was expiring.
I just
Never
keep,
liked it.
Peacock.
I just keep hearing. Is it on Peacock?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
When did it get on
mama.
there?
It had to have been recent then.
Yeah.
It's super recent because every time I checked, it has not been.
I am almost certain it's on a streaming service. It's either Peacock or Logan's Work. It's on Peacock.
Yeah, Logan's Work. That's a great streaming network.
Well, we bought it. Ooh, does that mean is Babylon on Logan's Work yet?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry, boys, gotta go. I'm gonna go watch a 3-hour Damien Chazelle movie.
I might watch. I think I might get in like a big movie watching zone soon. I'm gonna go see. This weekend, I'm gonna go see Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters.
Oh my god,
'Cause
that
it's-
movie's so
Have you not
good.
seen it? That movie's incredible. I saw it
No.
like last
The
year.
movie is fine.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
so
Max,
good, dude.
Max,
It is
no.
it is by far the best movie that came out last year.
I have not seen it yet, but I.
No,
Okay.
but it won a lot.
It's the second best movie that came
Okay.
out.
All right,
It's the
Puss in
first.
Boots.
Oh, it's a Boots last wish,
Okay.
baby.
I'll accept that answer.
I thought that Everything Everywhere All at Once was a fine movie.
What would be your number
Well, it'll be
one?
number one.
Yeah, what's your number?
Like Oscar, the best picture of last year.
No,
No,
just like
what's
what was
your
the best
favorite
movie?
last year?
Babylon.
No, I didn't see Babylon.
Max,
I mean,
if
I
you
guess
say
it would've been
Avatar,
Top Gun
if you say
Maverick.
Avatar 2,
No, Top Gun Maverick. I
I would.
actually was watching it earlier today.
I thought Top Gun Maverick was just fine.
Last year was like a really terrible year
Top
for
Gun
movies.
Maverick is God's gift to mankind.
It's just white people flying planes, as far as I'm concerned.
Last year was
There
atrocious.
are people of multiple nationalities flying those planes. Not nationalities, I guess, because they're all American.
Yeah.
Ethnicities flying those planes.
I thought the original Top Gun wasn't that great, and then this one was better,
Oh, Batman was last
and it
year.
was fine.
Oh yeah,
Batman, Top Gun.
Sure about that? Batman was last year?
Batman was so long, but it was pretty good.
It was so long. And that's probably why it feels like it was so long ago.
Last year was horrible though. Like I know a lot of these are like superhero movies and stuff. I mean, but that's just what half the freaking film industry is now.
How could we forget Black Adam?
I was gonna say Black Adam, mid, killed DC kind of, but not really. Thor, horrible. Doctor Strange, fine. Wakanda
Thor was
Forever,
fine.
fine. The
Well,
end,
Wakanda Forever, big thumbs down.
Wakanda Forever, I was like okay, and then the final scene like got me.
What did I
and I was
watch?
like,
What did
oh,
I watch?
this is good. The final scene really hit me in that movie. It was very,
Oh,
very
yeah,
well
I
done.
totally-
Wakanda Forever?
Yes.
Yeah.
The final scene. Oh, I was thinking the final, like, fight. I
No,
was
the
like, really?
the final
Yeah, the
reveal
scene.
of him being like, "My name is actually
Yes.
T'Challa." I was like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
how they'll
yes,
continue him on. This is just the new T'Challa." Because I was somebody who was like screaming forever for them to just recast him, and then like it's clearly they're just gonna be like, "Nope, this is new T'Challa. This is new Black
No,
Panther."
wait a minute.
T'Challa Jr.
Okay,
Yeah.
there were so many good movies last year. What are you guys talking about?
Max
There
is gonna
was
list a bunch of.
Barbarian. I have my list of the
Barbarian was-
74 movies I watched last
Barbarian
year.
was
Barbarian was
fine.
really good.
It was
I like
okay.
that.
Barbarian, better than Everything Everywhere All at Once, for
I
sure.
disagree. Hard disagree.
Last year,
The menu was fun.
Menu was good.
Yeah, Menu was good.
Menu was
I said it was
better
fun.
than
I did.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about Minions: The Rise of Gru.
That's a classic. Ambulance, pretty flippin' dope. That was a
sounds.
dope movie.
That looked like the shittiest dumb movie I ever.
No,
just
that was one of
based
the
on
best.
Trailer.
The way Michael Bay uses drones to capture real action footage is bar none incredible. It's awesome.
How was the Weird Al movie? I feel like Max is the only one that probably watched this.
I did watch it. I was thinking about that movie the other day because they do some really funny stuff with Madonna.
I haven't seen it yet. I still need to.
It's so goofy, and I still don't understand why it's on Roku. Like how Roku.
Made it.
I don't know how they made any money because it was just
X
free.
Came out last year, right?
What
That
did?
was a really good movie. X.
Yes, one of the Pearl. Pearl was last year. I think X was before
No,
that.
I think they both came out the same year.
The same year? Okay.
Oh, Idris Elba versus a lion came out.
Yeah. There was. I finally watched Fight Club. Not that that counts, but
Was
finally
no
watched
last
Fight
year?
Club.
Best film of 2022.
Nope was.
Fight Club.
Fight Club. I think Nope was last year.
Nope was
It's on
last
this
year. I
list
didn't
somewhere.
watch that.
Yep.
That was good.
I need to
Nope
watch
was
that.
good.
I'm behind on a lot of things.
Uh,
I'm so behind on things that I think I'm gonna
Glass
go.
Onion.
I think I'm gonna go see 2 movies in theater this weekend.
I'm seeing a movie this weekend in theaters.
I wanted to see a movie this weekend. I was actually going to try and see Creed 3 tomorrow, but it wasn't going to happen.
My girlfriend was like, "Hey, we should go see a movie," and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "What do you want to see?" And she's like, "I don't know. I'll go see whatever." I was like, "I want to see this boxing movie." She's like, "I've never seen any of them, but I'll go see it." And I'm like, "Okay." So we might go see Creed 3.
Than me. I think Abby has seen only Rocky 1 and Rocky 4.
She's not seen any of them.
No, I'm just saying, but Abby doesn't like boxing movies, so like it's over. I'll never get her to watch anything again. I got her to watch Rocky 1, which established her hatred of boxing movies, and then
what is there to hate?
For my birthday or something, she watched Rocky 4. So
they are very manly movies. It's just a dude lifting weights and punching other dudes in the face.
He's got to watch Creed.
Creed is a great movie. I just, if you watch Rocky 1 and you don't feel anything, or Rocky 4, because Rocky 4 is just montage.
It ended a war.
I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I watched the new cut, the one Stallone.
I still need to do that. Yeah.
It is wild.
If you were to guess what movie I was seeing this weekend, and it'd probably be the only movie I'll see in theaters because I don't go to movie theaters anymore.
Avatar 2.
Scream 6.
No.
The Whale.
Darn it.
No.
I don't know what movies are out now.
I'm seeing Dungeons and Dragons.
Wait, what? That's not out. That's not even out this weekend.
I guess my brother-in-law, he's part of the, I don't know, AMC thingy, and he could get early tickets for the movie or whatever. So
wait, Dungeons and what?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Now
start dragging these nuts on your forehead, Michael.
Got him.
Got him. Oh, this reminds me, Max. I need you to do something.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Please, it's funny.
His phone's not with him, by the way.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I don't know if we can do it. He's using his phone to record.
Just on your free time,
oh my god.
On your free time, on Google, search the number 50, then space, then 19, and translate it from English to French.
You gotta use numbers.
I feel like this is a joke I've heard before.
It probably is.
Probably.
If you want a good laugh, it's pretty good.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Just on your free time, and then message me when you get back to me when you do it.
It was bad because Mike sent me that, and I got it like 2 days before from someone else. I was like, I know this witchcraft. I know what you're trying to do to me. Oh, it was amazing.
Before we do the tier list, which I imagine we're probably going to jump into in a second, I have one question for Max. And I know you haven't seen Creed 3 either, but I was trying to think about this the other day. Do you think of all the movies in the Rocky series, that one might be the easiest to just kind of jump into blind? Because Rocky himself is now out of it. He's now out of it, yeah, so it's not tied back to the old stuff. So I can just kind of say, like, oh yeah, this is Adonis Creed. He's like a champion and he's a boxer and he used to be trained by Rocky, who was the character in all the other movies, and watch this movie.
I mean, sure, why not? Yeah.
Because
it's probably easy. I would rather focus on who his father is and that legacy there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll explain that too, because that's obviously a key component of it.
Because that probably ties in some factor because of the rivalry that's being set up here in Creed 3. But yeah, I assume since Stallone is not in the movie, it's probably
it feels
easier.
Like the most like cut, like this is a new era thing. Because even with Creed, obviously Rocky, that was a new reboot. But
that's
Rocky was
all what Creed 1 is, and then Creed 2 is the sequel to Rocky 4 that we're waiting for. So it's so good. But yeah, Creed 3 should be fine. I would think. You have to let me know how it is, because I hear it's really great, and I'm dying to see it.
I would go, well, this is the last thing I'll say on our movie discussion, even though it's kind of maybe a tangent, but I think sports movies might be the best movie genre, like by far.
I like rom-coms a lot.
Rom-coms are good.
The best movie genre?
I don't know.
Are you saying that the new Gran Turismo movie coming out later this year is going to be one of the best ever made?
I actually genuinely think that sounds
I mean, it looks cool. I'm saying that movie does look good, but it's a sport movie.
I just think
I'll
like
say boxing movies are
mean,
a great category.
I
and
don't-
basketball coach movies.
Yeah.
Because they always involve drunk men spending time with children and getting over their problems.
Hoosiers is great. Rudy is great. I watched.
that Ben
Mighty
Affleck
Ducks is
movie where
great.
he's
I haven't watched that. I watched Coach
It's good.
Carter for the other day for the first time. That was really good. I watched the Adam Sandler movie where
Blindside.
that's good. I watched the Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. Hustle.
Is that good?
It's where he's in.
the longest
Waterboy?
yard.
No,
The longest yard. Happy Gilmore.
no, he's in a lot of sports
Gilmore.
movies. Now I think of. No, the one where he's like in a serious role and he's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
an NBA
Hustle or
agent.
something?
Yeah, he's like an NBA agent, or he's not an agent. He's a scout. And
Yeah. He gets a guy from Spain or something. A really tall dude.
yeah,
I watched
that movie's
Bridget
really good.
Jones. I watched Bridget Jones' Diary for the first time 2 days ago.
There's like 4 more movies, dude. It's a whole
I don't-
cinematic universe.
I don't want to go. I don't like the movie. I didn't like it.
Too British.
Not my. It's not that. I like Hugh Grant. We watched like a ton of Hugh Grant films like recently. We watched like 4
Gearing
Weddings
up
and a
for-
Funeral.
Gearing up for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. We watched About a Boy not too long ago. We watched we watched like a ton of like Hugh Grant movies. It's weird because when Amber and I watch movies, we'll like watch a ton of movies of the same person. And I've been wanting to watch rom-coms. So before this was Julia Roberts, and we watch a ton of Julia Roberts rom-coms. They're great. But yeah, Grant, pretty good rom-com guy.
Is Ocean's 11 a rom-com? It really is all about George Clooney getting back with Julia Roberts.
I did watch that one that's on Peacock with Julia Roberts and George Clooney.
Oh, the
one
Paradise
Where
one.
they go to
Yeah.
an island.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yes. It's that mid-2000s rom-com energy. It's just like
It's
total mediocre. You're there because it's the two of them.
Whoa. Early 2000s rom-coms are some of the best rom-coms out there.
I
She's
said
All
early
That.
to mid-2000s.
She's All That's like all-time top 5
I'm
rom-coms.
not saying those. I'm just saying there's a swath of films in that period that this totally could have just been plopped in the middle with.
I think the 80s probably has the most worst rom-coms, but also has
The most worst.
but also
the best of the worst
like-
of the best.
like the most in volume and then worst, but also has some of the best ever. So
Yeah.
All right, final movie question for everybody, and then we'll do the tier list, and I'll let Grant take over. But
I hope the tier list is about movies.
speaking of films, is everybody here going to see the Mario Bros. Movie the weekend it comes out?
Yes.
like I said,
God willing, yes.
I don't go to movie theaters, so no.
Wow.
No, you're
You
going-
were-
God
don't want-
willing.
You don't want to give
I will see that
Miyamoto
movie
your
opening
dollars?
No, I don't.
I actually had a dream. I went to Super Nintendo World last night, and it was like the worst thing ever. I was like, this is terrible. Why would anybody come here? And then I met Reggie. This is all coming back to me. I met Reggie, and he was like 7 feet tall.
That's probably an accurate statement.
Yeah. He seems like a tall individual.
There are
He's a
very
tall
few,
boy.
There are very few movies that'll get me into a movie theater. The last one that actually did was the Spider-Man movie. That last one. That's it.
Mhm.
Oh,
All right, Grant.
Creed 3
Take us
almost
to
did.
Tierland
Are you ready for
with
this tier list?
with Sleepy Joe, Donald, the Don,
Yeah,
was two
and Barack.
choices- There's 2 choices here. The only issue is Max has not played one of the game series or enough of them for me to justify not justify doing the Yakuza karaoke songs tier list.
I can't even do that one.
Wow, I've listened to all the Yakuza songs like a few weeks ago. I was like, wow, this is going to be good. And I was like, I bet only.
Oh, I can't. Yeah,
I
couldn't
can't do that
comment
one.
on any of that.
I could
So-
I could hardly do that, and I like
my
those games a
gosh.
lot.
So
Baka
we got-
Mitai S tier.
Is number 1.
We got controller tier list.
Oh.
We are gonna go through
Okay, good.
controllers that we think are the best, and I'm just gonna
All right.
I'm gonna start off.
Grant,
Are we
the
go-
best
fall
one.
in your lead.
Hold on. Are we
Yeah.
going in? Let's just go in order by what
All
it's
right.
No,
presenting.
I want to follow Grant's.
Or well, Grant, yeah, you can actually take us in whatever order you want, Grant.
All right, so we're starting with the easiest. We're going to
Hold on. What are the? Is it? It's S, A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Or we can add another one below, I believe. Can I add row below? We will do this.
Well, an F tier.
Never touched.
Okay.
I'm like
I
squinting
think I
in.
have touched everything here.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, no, I have.
Past controller. So.
What's the one
I
next
have.
to? What's the one next to the Genesis?
Genesis? Is that like a Neo Geo?
Is
or
that
something?
Jaguar?
No, I think
I
that
can't even see.
that might be the 6-button Genesis controller.
Let me just put it. Yeah, you can't see.
I think it's the 6-button Genesis controller, but I'm not sure.
All right. We're gonna start with the easiest way I know how to. Nintendo controllers.
Okay.
We're gonna
All
start
right.
with, what's the oldest one here?
That one.
Yeah,
You just-
that one.
All right, this is the NES.
Oh,
No,
That's
it's
the
Super
Super
NES.
Super NES?
the Super NES
Yeah, the square one next to the
That's
64.
with red. Yeah. All right. Solid
I think it's a solid C tier.
C. Yeah.
Oh, this is
I'm with
NES. NES is what we're doing
Yeah.
now.
NES. NES.
I think
Solid C. Those corners that dig into your palms. You only got 2 buttons and a D-pad.
There's
Yeah.
nothing
I'd say
ergonomic about it.
I'd say D tier. I think this controller sucks.
I don't think it sucks.
No, they're very.
It's important. I think the historical significance brings it up to C, but the A B still feels good. It's just the corners.
Yeah, the corners. Actually, you know what? I agree with Logan. It's D tier for dog shit.
Oh my God, no.
But hold on.
Hard disagree, but also it's not one that I'm willing to fight for.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go to the mat for it.
Wow.
There's controllers on here I will fight tooth and nail
Well,
for.
I'm thinking
so
of,
I'm
like-
not gonna waste my energy on.
I'm
the
thinking.
NES.
I just think I get that. I get the importance at the time or whatever. Like, oh, this is one of the first home consoles, but I'm sorry, it's terrible. It doesn't fit in your hands. Like, it's not ergonomic. Yes, the D-pad has stood the test of time, I suppose, and is still on all controllers nowadays. That would be the... But, like, that's not... Did any controllers have D-pads before this? I don't think so.
No,
Not the way it is with the
Not like the 4.
the dip in the middle.
Yeah.
The way Nintendo did it, it started here.
It's either
Alright,
it's either
so
C or
Super-
D. I think it sucks, though, by comparison to literally everything else
D
we're
is
staring
fine.
at.
D's fine.
D is fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I will
Let's
let you know,
put.
There is no DualSense on here. Now I'm looking at it, so that stinks. Just to let you know.
Oh, that would be S tier.
DualSense is pretty good.
Or we're on Nintendo right now, Logan. We don't talk about it. So SNES. We got Curve.
All right.
B.
A.
I would say B.
A. This is
Got
the
right here.
quintessential
Got right
classic
here,
game
baby.
controller.
Mike, how's that feel in your hand right now?
It honestly feels.
Can't actually see you, Mike. I can only see Grant. So it's A here. It's an ergonomic dream.
I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
I mean-
not for my hands. That I have big meaty claws. That thing's like a little.
It's not my fault.
D-pad feels real good.
It
I
has
like
just the right amount of buttons.
So
It's got a
I
slight
mean,
curve to it.
There's a difference between the American and the Japanese version, but I like the concave and convex.
I was gonna say the same thing. I like
Yeah.
how the X and the Y buttons dip inward.
They don't
It
like
feels
the
good.
Famicom. The Super Famicom doesn't have.
Famicom
it.
don't,
They're
yeah.
all the same.
But they have the colors.
Yeah, but they have the colors, which is a good look too.
I was gonna say that's the
always-
biggest downside of this controller. I don't like the purple. It's
I
not.
love the purple.
I love the purple.
So
Yeah,
it's
I-
okay.
Purple's great.
The light purple, good color. All right, the
Yeah.
pastel purple.
I'm telling you, man. Super NES controllers, A tier.
Maybe A tier. Maybe I'm with Max on this. A tier.
I'm thinking
tier,
more
for
of.
sure.
There's a lot of other things that could be A tier.
Like
I don't want to oversaturate, but
well, we
It's
could
gonna
always.
get
we could
oversaturated.
always-
I will
how about
agree
this?
for
We can move. we can
We can move things around. This is
Yeah.
fluid.
I'm fine with
But right
putting there
now,
for in
A
A
tier.
tier for now. We can do that for now.
All right, so
Next
here we go. Just put the N64 in S tier and let's move on.
No.
No,
D
this is
tier.
like one of the worst ones. I
D
think
tier for sure.
That-
All right.
I think it's C. Honestly, it's not anything.
C. I would argue for a C.
Let me. I would go to bat for C because, and here's why. I'll explain my reasoning. This controller had to be designed in mind with them knowing that games were shifting to 3D, and they're like, how the hell do we design a controller with 3D in mind? For example, PlayStation didn't even try out of the gate. They're just like, here's our first controller, and then later they added the DualSense with the thumbsticks, not DualSense, the DualShock with the thumbsticks. They didn't even know what the hell they were doing. So to be fair, Nintendo was kind of operating in the dark here, and they're like, maybe this is what the future of gaming looks like, is something like this. Like, it's a weird ass controller, but
it's designed with Super Mario 64 from the ground up. Like they designed it around one game.
I'm sorry, but the D-pad in most games is not relevant, and you don't need to touch it. The right side of the controller is what you hold onto, and I get that makes it weird that there's a whole left side that you're just never really interacting with that often for most games. But
what they should have done is put the joystick on the left side and put the D-pad in the middle.
Yeah.
I feel like that's terrible.
No, I'm with Logan. That would be bad.
I think it would look dumb, but I think it would feel way better.
No, I think that stick, like, off to the left would not feel good.
I think it feels
The height of it, the plastic.
What's the difference between that and literally every other controller after it?
Because this controller has a tall stick with not a wide surface on top. The modern analog stick is short and fat and actually fits your thumb. This, having the height advantage in the middle, I feel like you have a better grip. Having it spread out I'm with Logan.
I'm thinking about my time with this controller too, because I've probably spent more time with this controller than I have a lot of others on this list. And honestly, I think the claw style, I like that you can kind of like, I like the way your hands are almost staggered. I feel like I can like get right up on the buttons a little bit more on the right side. And like when I play Dark Souls games now or whatever, like, and I'm using a normal controller, I'm like operating with like a claw method with my fingers in the first place. This, I don't know. There's something comforting about like having your hand offset almost rather than like even and holding it symmetrical. It's like, there's like, you can put some like torque on the controller strangely. It's weird.
Power.
Yeah.
I think I'm clearly in the minority on this, so just keep
Look, I already told you.
I think
it's a bad controller design.
I think it's the ugliest controller. I think it's the worst out of literally all of these controllers here.
I just think for the games, there aren't many games on the Can you name any games on the N64 where you're like, oh, the N64 controller design is ruining my enjoyment of this game, because I can't think of any like
any first-person shooter.
What are you talking about? GoldenEye, like,
first of all,
GoldenEye was like the thing.
It doesn't play well. It never did.
Did.
Garbage. Liar.
Also, you could just plug two controllers in, one in port 1 and one in port 3, and there you go. You have your two sticks. Or you could play pod racing and control each engine individually.
What I'm saying is that it's crazy that we're putting N64 controller over the NES controller.
No, it's not.
I think that is a good and fair thing.
Yeah. That's ridiculous to me, but whatever.
Dude,
obviously
at least the N64 controller has like grips to hold blatantly rather than just here's a square, here's a rectangle, please hold.
Like I said, I'm not in the minority anymore. I'm obviously in the minority on it.
Yeah. Pipe down, Sleepy Joe.
All right.
All right, S tier right now. Right now.
S.
I'm gonna get.
No,
I don't think this is the most.
No.
This is the most overrated game controller of all time.
Best controller. It's so good.
This is the best. This is the best controller ever made.
No, it's not.
None.
No, it's not.
The best.
It is the controller I definitely have the most of. It is by far the most comfortable. It has the best button layout of all time. The triggers have been you can't even match the spring-loaded, satisfying click of those triggers. The analog stick is divine. This is the best controller ever made. I will take nothing less than S tier.
I fully disagree with. I've been playing with it recently because I have allegedly been using an emulator to play GameCube games.
Listen up, Nintendo.
What do you think?
Not an emulator.
What do you think? Doug Bowser's gonna come for us or something?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. You've been swimming
playing-
with the dolphins.
I've been playing Pikmin, allegedly, and like. I've been playing that, and then also playing, with the DualSense and playing with an Xbox controller. I enjoy this controller more than both of those two controllers.
Yes, this is the best controller ever made.
It is incredibly comfortable. Like Max said, the button layout just makes sense. It just works, guys. It just works.
It does. The A button is just right in the center, and the B and the X and Y around it, and these lima bean. It's so good. It is. There is a reason that it is still made to this day.
Most
besides Smash Bros.
I was gonna say, I think all of these are that we've talked about so far. So there's that.
I think the only thing I don't like about it
this is the only controller that has been consistently made since its debut.
The only thing I don't like about it is the angle, it has the 8 angles for each joystick, and I'd rather it be like a circle.
Oh, you don't like the gate?
I like the gate. I like the gate on it.
I don't care for the gate. Personally.
And
the D-pad. The D-pad's not good.
The D-pad's mush.
Yeah. I just need to say this. I think this is the most overrated controller ever. However, I would still put it in S tier, if that makes any sense. I think people sing this praise. I think that it is one of the great controllers ever, and I do love it. But I think people are a little too mushy-gushy about it, especially retroactively. It's like at the time, 15, 20 years ago, when this was the Nintendo console of the time, I wasn't fawning over the GameCube controller. I was just like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty nice. I like this console. This is cool.
My best friend had a third-party one that had rubber grips on it, but it also had a fan built in the back of it, so you keep your hands cool.
Controller.
Yes, it was the coolest thing ever.
The thing I will say most positively about the GameCube controllers is that they are sturdy as hell. I still have my original GameCube those controllers we used to use at the apartment, the wired ones. Those are my original GameCube controllers from 04 or something when I got it, maybe 03. And I still have them, and they're still my default GameCube controllers, and they are in
I know 7 of them.
I know a lot of people rubbed away the D-pad. Rubber. Yeah, and I don't understand how. You must be eating spaghetti while you're playing with your controller or something. I've used mine forever, and they're still in great shape. So, yeah.
I have a last thing. Last question on this. Did the GameCube came out before the original X? No, it didn't. Never mind.
No, it was after.
I just thought about it. Never mind.
I think it was 01, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We're moving on.
I think, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think the picture, I can't tell, but I think the picture clarifies it. Are we talking about the Wii Remote as just the Wii Remote, or are we putting the nunchuck in context with it as well?
It's the full thing. What do you want to judge you can't really judge a nunchuck on its own anyway.
No. I wasn't saying separate them. I was asking just the context of the Wii Remote. Are we
just all of the above?
I can't tell. All of the above could throw in a lot of stuff. There are a lot of peripherals for that.
Yeah, Link's crossbow training.
No, I'm just talking.
Yeah, Mario Kart Wii Wheel.
Just Wiimote and nunchuck.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted.
I mean, what are you gonna say about the peripherals? There's not much.
It's either C or D for me.
I'm gonna go. I would say B tier.
I would go B because.
What are you? I'm so confused.
It's not. Here's the thing.
The only thing I like about it is that you have so much motion. If you're playing a normal game, you could kind of just lay down like an idiot. Spread out like this and play games. I think that's great.
I think it cannot be understated what games like Wii Sports did because of this controller.
Yeah.
But the console too. Like that, the Wii
I
Sports
would-
is more than just a controller. Though.
I would
It's not-
I would argue
I
it's
think the Wii was
absolute.
the
I was
controller.
gonna say I would argue absolutely not. Actually, I think it is entirely the controller. To be honest,
Waggle.
there is
Skyward Sword.
there is nothing in the Wii with the Wii other than the controller that is unique.
So what? Okay, here's
I
another
honestly
question:
think
Are
it's an
we
S
are we
game.
judging these controllers just based on the controller, or based on the influence that it had on the games industry, or both? Are we?
I feel
I mean,
like
I'm talking-
first of all, when you're Nintendo and you come out with probably the most inspiring controllers around town, I guess I can't remove context from these because the Wii remote is so not only what it did for motion controls and just that whole boom, but also the Wii remote itself is so versatile from being able to play vertically the A, B buttons in 1 and 2, but you turn it sideways and suddenly it unlocks the virtual console. It becomes an NES gamepad that
Yeah, but it
Arguably
feels like
is more comfortable.
garbage to play on the with like sideways or whatever.
This did.
Like,
I
I
will.
don't think so.
I will say, like, I
I
just
think as a conventional controller, like a normal controller, it sucks. It's bad. As a motion controller, sure, it's great and it makes sense and it works right. But like,
that
I
is-
think as like a normal controller, it's
It's not a normal controller. That's the
It's
thing.
not. It's
well when you
so,
but you have to use it as a normal controller, like what Max was saying, to play like virtual console games or
You
whatever.
don't
Well, think
have
about-
to use it. I'm just saying you can, and that versatility, I think, is a valuable factor.
I think the most damning thing I could say about the Wii remote, to kind of side with Michael here, is like, I never played like Smash with it. Like
You
Brawl,
did?
Like,
Brawl,
how
I
many,
did.
how many,
Brawl. I
did
was
as a
like, give me a
joke.
GameCube controller. I
Yeah,
need a
how many-
GameCube
how many
I
controller.
did as a joke.
how many of you, instead of using an actual Wii remote, would connect a Pro controller or a GameCube controller to it more
There
often
is
than not?
no pro controller. It's a classic controller.
Or the you know what I mean,
Well,
like the classic
to really the only game I ever did that with was Smash, where I would play with GameCube controller.
Mhm.
But everything else I played with a Wii remote. Definitely, for sure.
Yep, I remember
I'm
Twilight Princess playing it with the nunchuck and Wii remote.
yeah, the Waggle, Skyward
mean,
Sword, of course,
Mike,
Mario
I
Kart
guess most of the
Wii,
games that I
Galaxy.
played on the Wii were like platformers or something where I didn't have to use motion other than like Wii Sports.
What were you playing? Sonic Frontiers on it?
Hey, God, I needed.
Zombies.
No, well, they had like the new like the new
Sonic
Super
Black
Mario
Knight.
Brothers. They had I like the Paper Mario on that one.
That's a good
I
thing.
do,
yeah,
you,
that
have
is
to
a good
use, you have to use a
Do you?
Wii remote on that one. Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
I think B tier, because here's the thing. Like Michael was asking if we're accounting for games and stuff and like what they did for the industry and stuff like that. I'm really not trying to when we do this, which is why I said NES is D tier.
Yeah,
it is
that's,
important.
That's the thing is like we can't put NES in D tier if we're doing that. Like
Here's the
that
thing. If-
automatically shoots it to.
I
at least
tried to
D
put it
tier.
in C tier.
I think arguing legacy is a bad. I think it's just like form factor and how it feels. And I guess the reason why I'd say B tier for
I mean, I'd
Wii
still put
remote,
it in B tier for the Wii remote.
I would say B
It's comfortable
tier
in the hand.
because if I invited all of you over now and said, "Hey, let's play some Wii Sports, baby, bowling time," we would all be like, "Heck yeah, let's go!" Like, and that would still be a ton of fun nowadays. And like, those are the experiences I think about with the Wii specifically. Like, that stuff is what stands out the most. Plus, you had stuff like Just Dance, which was still coming to the Wii up until literally like a year ago.
A year or two ago.
Yeah, I'm aware. Amber literally has bought all of them.
So and like yeah, I think that here's the worst thing I can say about the Wii remote, and this can kind of, if we are going to put it in B tier for now and we want to lead into the next one, the worst thing about the Wii remote, especially because of what I just said, this will tie all three of the last generations together. GameCube I felt was very sturdy, and then Wii I felt like started getting a little cheaper feeling. Like the feeling of a Wii remote feels kind of not great. It ushered in this like Fisher Price era of Nintendo, which
also,
then
people
came
were
in.
just launching that thing into TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Fisher
Bless
Price
the wrist strap.
the Fisher Price era came into full view then with the Wii U, which I think is just like an easy D tier, and we can
That's an
move
easy.
on.
Yeah, that's D tier.
Like
It's a
No,
D tier. No. It's a D tier that I'm sad about because there are parts of the gamepad I
Oh,
like.
yeah, I agree.
Like I actually really like the digital triggers on the back. I think that just feels really comfortable and natural. It's nice that it's essentially a DS in your living room. I think back to Wind Waker specifically, like having the map and the ocean stuff and bottles all on the gamepad was great.
Not Zombie.
But I'm not thinking of Zombie U or
What about Batman Arkham City Armored Edition?
Or Fatal Frame or Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect was on that? Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
Mass
with you.
Effect 3 was on the Wii U.
I am probably one of the only people in the world who actually liked how Star Fox Zero played with the Wii U.
It's you and Miyamoto.
Yeah, I think we are like the only people in the world who actually, because how I played it is because it's wireless. I was in a rolling chair, and I would just like
You'd
go
spin around.
sit around in my rolling chair and like look around that way when I was playing it.
I
thought it was
think
fun.
there are parts of the gamepad I love, but it is a D tier because you honestly rarely had to use it in other games. Like you would just put it off to the side and use a Wii remote because it required a Wii remote or a Pro controller or something.
Were you able to play games like on just? You were able to just play games like on.
You could turn it into just a TV. People actually, I remember seeing
'Cause I
people
think I
take
did that with
a
Wind Waker.
Wii U to airports, plug the Wii U in
Yeah.
to an outlet, and then play off the gamepad. It was basically a pre-switch in that way. It was the inverse of what would become.
That's why everybody knew what they were going to do a Switch. It was like clear what they were moving to.
Yeah. So it's a D tier that I'm just sad about personally because there are parts I like. But yeah, it's not great.
Okay, are we doing Switch now then? We have 2 Switch controllers though.
Yeah.
Do we? We have both the Pro and the Joy-Con.
I actually think these are worse than the Wii remote.
I think these are D. I hate the Joy-Con.
Yeah,
I think
I don't
they're
like
C.
the
I like them. I like the HD
I like-
Rumble on the
yeah, I like-
2 games
HD
it works on.
I don't
the
even.
HD Rumble is really cool. I think
I
everything.
think
else about
the
it is
Joy-Con are the epitome of that thing Mike was talking about with the Wii remote where you can just lounge around. Like, you
Yes.
totally can't just, they just wanted each hand to just flop. I will say Joy-Con special editions are quite beautiful. I think they've really figured out how to maximize the small real estate. But these things are just tiny and not super comfortable, especially if you play with them sideways. They have that versatility that I was talking about with the Wii remote, but they don't have the size to sustain that, that diverse play styles. It's cool.
Yeah.
It works in a pinch, but it is not great.
I actually like
a
how
D
they
or
are.
a C. A C I'd be okay with.
I think I'm with Logan and D. I do actually like how they feel sideways as opposed to the Wii.
Oh, I hate those. Sideways on the Wii is much better.
I don't like any of them. I think they're both bad, but I think the button layout of the Switch Joy-Cons I think is better than
What cements these in D tier for me is Joy-Con drift. It's just so prevalent, and like Nintendo just kind of like shrugs their shoulders, like, I don't know, buy new controllers, I guess. Like they just there's.
Okay, first of all,
I've never got
Nintendo
Joy-Con
will
drift.
repair them, and I've never had it. Now I could be a unicorn. I could be a
will say-
Joy-Con unicorn. But
Let me-
also,
I was gonna say, let me-
Joy-Con are not the only ones that have drift. It's a modern controller problem with the analog modules that are being selected.
True.
So,
Let me step
I
in
get
here.
it. The Joy-Con is the poster child of drift.
Let
for
me
sure.
step in here and say something because I have insight on this topic because of my job. Anytime I write about a story that involves Joy-Con drift, you would be shocked how many people DM me and ask me questions about their own Switch controllers. Like,
Sure.
since I have had my current job, literally like hundreds of people have messaged me over the years about Joy-Con drift and their own problems and how to get it fixed and if they can get in on class action lawsuits. Like I know that's just my own experience and that's a unique one, but it is a thing that happens quite often based on just my small purview. So
I do
Do
think
we
it's.
want
I think it's
to
a
order
D.
these?
Yes. for
we can't
sure.
we can't after. Let's do that last.
All right. So next up, the Pro controller.
A.
I think it's a B.
I think it's B.
B.
I think the
It's a
buttons
B.
are
Fine.
weird. I don't
Yeah.
think the I think the
I
D-pad's not
remember
great,
this
the
is
triggers aren't great.
the buttons are kind of mushy.
Yeah.
But the thing that I remember that kind of makes this B tier for me is, do you guys remember the D-pad issues
Yes.
where like it would recognize multiple inputs when you push
Yeah.
left, it think you hit up?
Yeah.
I remember taking it apart and putting tape in to cover the contacts to fix that problem. Like, I guess this is my Joy-Con drift. The controller's comfortable. I think the proms are a bit too angular, but
Yeah.
it's a decent controller, but it's got some issues. I think
do
B
think
tier's fine.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think it feels good in the hand. I just think I think the buttons are like oddly placed. I don't know how to even.
The sticks feel a little weird. I'll say that.
Yeah, the
like
sticks are a
like the
little weird.
GameCube controller feels better by comparison with the thumbsticks.
Yeah.
Let me say, don't forget, there's a hidden message under the left or the right thumbstick
This
that
is
says,
true.
"Thanks to all gamers."
Wow.
Now, I noticed we're missing a Nintendo controller, and I'm a little upset at this tier list.
The Super Nintendo mouse.
No, that would be a peripheral. but I
Virtual
appreciate
Boy.
the D-pad.
Virtual
The
Boy.
Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy controller. Obviously, an S tier. We can now move on.
No.
I've never held a Virtual Boy controller, so I guess it would go in that
Neither
final
have I.
category.
We're gonna do the Dreamcast, Jaguar, and Genesis right here. It looks like. I think this is Dreamcast.
Yes. D tier.
I was gonna say
I
it's been a
have
long
to-
time, but I
I've
think it's
never held one. I can't speak to this. I've always
It's D tier.
thought it looked cool, and I've always thought the memory card slot was
Yeah.
pretty neat with the little screen that would come in there.
Mhm.
It's cool looking. I've always been fascinated by it, but
It's
I can't speak to its comfort or
It's-
usability.
It's cool looking, but it does not feel good to hold. The buttons I remember being, I never owned one, but I have used one before. The buttons I remember feeling like very squishy almost. I don't know if Mike can speak to that if he's used it.
I don't know.
at
I've
all.
used it before, but I didn't know many people with a Dreamcast. I had a neighbor that had a Dreamcast and played it like a couple times. I don't remember really. I was a GameCube kid. I had a GameCube growing up, so I grew up with that. And then playing with a Dreamcast like at a friend's place, it always I was just like, I don't understand this controller. Like I just never really liked it. So.
I know this is probably the one that we all have the least collective experience with, but I have used it enough to be like, every time I've used it, I'm like, wow, this controller feels not good.
Yeah, there's just something about it. I'm just like, it's,
I've used it once, and it was at a location called Pizza King with Trains.
Yes.
They had them drilled into the table there.
Ah.
That, Nintendo 64 controllers, and PlayStation controllers. I always avoid the tables with these controllers because I held it. It was gross and sticky. I was like, this isn't even a controller. So yeah, it's D tier.
Also, if you don't have the memory card in the slot, then it looks real goofy, you know?
Yep.
I
can
can
slide a piece of pizza in there at the Pizza King.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Is that that's not a Jaguar controller. The Jaguar is the one that's got like the calculator underneath. I think that's the 6-button Genesis controller is what I think it is.
So,
Because
I
it's
can't
got,
even.
let's start with the 3-button.
Oh yeah, the Jaguar has.
I have held one of these. I think this is pretty cheap. I think C.
I would
It's
say
better than
C.
the NES because it's ergonomic at least, and they were like, we'll have one extra button, but it was, I think, perfected in the 6-button.
I was gonna say I'll step in here because I feel like I've used this one the most, unless anybody else has owned a Genesis. This was literally the console I grew up with. Genesis controller is good. It's definitely C tier. As far as the classic controllers go, it is. The buttons are clicky, and I like that. Like there's like good input on the buttons that I really have always liked. The D-pad is not as good as Nintendo's D-pads though. It's a little bit more.
I remember it being like squishy or something.
It's a little bit more like
mushy.
it's a little bit more rotational. It gives you
Yeah.
like 360 degrees of movement, but
For
almost
Marble Madness.
yes, almost to a fault at times. But if this is the 6-button Genesis controller, that is at least B tier. That controller is awesome. Smaller, snappier. They added there's like a little trigger on it, I think, on the right side. Feels good in your hands. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan,
the 6-button. Yeah, the 6-button's good
Yeah.
because it brought the arcade into the house.
as
too.
a child who grew up playing Mortal Kombat 2 at the age of like 2 years old when he probably shouldn't have been playing it, this was the controller I was always like, I need to use this one. Let me play as Liu Kang. Let me punch people in the face. Like this is a very good controller. I think this one is excellent. I don't think either of the Genesis controllers are good. I wouldn't put it in A. I would say it is worse than the Super Nintendo for sure, which we have in A. I think B is good for this though.
I think B. It's B. It's a high B.
I've never used the 6-button. I've used the 3-button a lot. My uncle had who I used to go to frequently. He had a Genesis, so I played a lot of Genesis there, and I did like the controller. Like I liked the 3-button controller, but yeah, I don't think it's as good as the Pro or any of the ones above it.
So PlayStation or Xbox? Where do we start?
Xbox we have fewer of, right? Or well, I guess they're about the same because we don't have the new I guess the current Xbox controllers are kind of the same as last gen's controllers.
Xbox it is.
They're pretty different.
Stronger.
The Duke is
The Duke.
for sure.
It's D. It has a special place in
D
my
for
heart
Duke.
because
Yeah.
it's so strange, but it is D.
Yeah, I've used one of those pretty recently. It's
Shout out
pretty
to black
awesome.
and white buttons.
Yeah.
Yes. Who can forget the black and white buttons?
Never forget.
There is the revision of the revision of the Duke. So that's the mid-gen revision, I believe.
I would say that's a B tier.
I would think that's B tier. That controller feels great actually. Like it was crazy how much improved it felt once they released
I would
that
say
thing.
it set the
I see where
bar
this is
for
going.
Controllers.
I see where this is going.
I think it's one of the best controllers.
All right, 360
360.
S tier.
A,
S tier. S
I
tier.
think it's A tier.
I'm with Mike.
I think it's
an A tier controller.
I think it's S tier.
I used one.
not even-
I used one recently. I think the D-pad sucks, and
that is
those
its big downfall. I will give you that.
And those controllers, I feel like they broke down pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think like the
Like
I think the
I don't think they're sturdy.
thumbsticks
I think
feel
that
gummy. There's like a gummy nature to them.
I think
than
I think the-
Thumbsticks
I
are
think
excellent.
the- I think the
Thumbsticks are
form
top
factor
tier.
is good. The thing is
I
that
think the material of the thumbstick, it doesn't feel good.
I think the controller was perfected with the Xbox Series X controller, or
That's,
the new one.
that's
Yes.
what I was thinking.
I think-
this is an S tier. The newest
I think
one.
the newest version is the best version of the Xbox controller.
Yeah.
I would
Personally.
I think it's the best controller to play. If you just have to give me one controller.
Yeah,
The
Ugh.
Xbox
I would probably
controller
go with the
versus,
Xbox
like,
controller.
I'm over
Well,
the
actually, no.
DualSense. That's
I
not
would
what
So-
I'm doing.
I would definitely use a GameCube controller over that. But
I would
So
strangely put Xbox One at A and 360 at S.
I think the
There's just
360
something
one-
about the 360 controller, man. I don't know if this is definitely the nostalgia speaking, but
I was gonna say
that controller, man. The thing I think about the 360 controller is it was like the default for PC gaming gamepads for like a solid decade too. Like I was still going to press events up until a couple years ago, and the default gamepad they would give me to play games if they had a PC build was the 360 controller.
I'll say that, like I said, I've held it like pretty recently. I think now, like feeling it now, I think it doesn't feel as good in the hand.
I
as,
agree.
like,
I
the
agree
new
with
one.
that. I have held one in the past year or two, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't as good.
It's like weird. It's just like the button placements are like kind of too far. I feel like just slightly too far,
Yeah.
as opposed to what they are on the new one now.
I think that, like, we're talking about the D-pad on the 360 doesn't feel good. I think the D-pad on 360 is better than Xbox One, though, and Series X.
don't-
No, that's a big
Oh,
no.
I don't-
No way.
I do think the D-pad on Xbox controllers just in general are not great.
They're
don't
too
like
they're
them.
too clicky and too like
Yeah,
but-
because when I play fighting games, I play with a D-pad. I don't use the control stick. And
yeah.
I've been trying to play Guilty Gear Strive. I'm terrible at it, but
Oh, so good.
yeah, like the inputs, like inputting stuff with that D-pad is like honestly terrible. But
Mhm.
I don't think it's any. I think it's better than the 360 one because the 360 one it would read weird because of how kind
Yeah.
of similar to the Genesis thing. It's like more circular, more
Mhm.
round. So
Mhm.
it would read kind of weird. So.
I do think I like the bumpers on the 360 more, though.
I
There's
could
something
agree with
about
that.
how those clicked that I think was more I don't want to say like responsive, but there's just there's like a slightly different tactile feel to it. I don't know.
I think it covered more space, so it was like kind of easier to get to. Like
Yeah.
whereas these ones are like they're kind of weird. Like on the newer
The way they
Xbox
they
controller.
roll down the sides like a little bit more. The Xbox One versions are bigger, but the other ones I don't know. It just felt like I don't know.
They do feel right. I kind of agree with that too.
Okay.
All right.
PlayStation.
Before we jump to PlayStation, this feels like a good spot for me to just voice my one stance here. I think.
Not talk about Game Pass at all. That's all I'm saying.
No. This is
No Game
controller
Pass
talk.
slander.
This is just controllers. I am team symmetrical sticks instead of asymmetrical sticks. So I'm not. If I could choose one or the other, I would definitely go the PlayStation symmetrical stick route over the Xbox offset. It just PlayStation is what I grew up with in that sense, and I think it feels better in the hand.
I have a follow-up question, but I'm gonna wait until we do all the PlayStation controllers.
All right.
All right, let's
So we
do
got
it. So
PlayStation 1 controller with no sticks.
D tier.
bad.
D tier, so bad.
No.
I think the
C.
buttons on this thing are terrible too.
Yeah, so bad.
I think
Talk
the
about
buttons suck.
The mushiest controller by far.
No. This one C tier. It's comfortable in the hand. It's got the 4-button
You know what?
layout.
I haven't.
It's
Too
got
light.
These,
it's got the triggers.
Too light. It's wired.
Nah.
No.
When has a wire ever been? You haven't brought up a wire at all.
If
it's C tier.
Grant used this example before, and I'll now use it for myself. Whenever I went to Pizza with Trains, if I saw a table with these, I was like, nah, that's not the table I want. That's not the table we're going to today.
it does not feel right. It's like it's so small. It's like small. And
Yep.
Like
Yes.
I don't know.
Really
It's just,
small.
have you ever, like, I cannot, like,
I have one on my desk.
I understand we can go back in time 20 years
I have it
to
on
where
my desk literally right now.
I don't care if you have it 10 of them around you right now. It still
should
feels
have one.
bad.
Yeah, I think I have a lot of these controllers in this room right now. With me.
Isn't this what the PlayStation Classic shipped with? One of these?
Yes.
It was not a DualShock, right?
No.
No. Why would Sony care about their classic games at all?
Sure.
All right, let's go to the DualShock.
I think
OG DualShock.
Actually,
I would put
think
this.
it's-
I would put the. Let me preach my
This is
case for this.
B tier.
I would say.
B
I would
tier.
say B tier for this, A tier for PS2.
No. Stop skipping ahead.
I'm not
No,
skipping
we're
ahead
gonna do
because
this-
these two came out so close together that they are like the PS2 is just a slight revision of this one because this came about so
Yes.
late in the PS1 gen. So that's why I'm ranking them back to back because this is a great controller, B tier, and then I think the PS2 made it just a little bit better. There's like a different level of heft that I like that the PS2 controller has.
And the PS2 had pressure sensitivity.
That too.
For reference, I don't really like PlayStation controllers just in general because I hate the I don't like the analog stick
Mike and I
placement.
are at
I am the
all.
complete opposite of Max.
Well,
Our
if it,
thumbs.
if it makes
The one
you,
that changes that is actually the DualSense. I love that controller, but
DualSense is god
if
tier.
you want me to join your side, Mike, I'll say DualShock 3 is D tier. I hate that controller.
DualShock 3. Wait, is that
no.
That's the PS.
PlayStation 3.
It's
Wait, what?
horrible.
Where's the 6-axis? Don't they? Have
Oh, that's the 6-axis. Yes.
Yeah, 6-axis DualShock 3 are the.
I hate that
Essentially.
controller. It's
Yeah.
it's too light. Why is it so light? And it's like it just is so light in your hands, and then the motion controls are pointless. The buttons don't feel as good as they do on PS2, which is
I thought the
crazy.
I thought the triggers were bad.
The triggers
The
aren't
triggers
great.
are the biggest problem are the triggers.
Like everything was a downgrade from PS2. I feel like in
Let's-
every aspect.
You know, get this negative Nelly out of here. The DualShock 3 had god tier battery life. All hail the DualShock 3. I bet my thing
Oh yeah,
still has juice.
woohoo! Now I got a charge. I can play Lair for a longer period of time.
No,
Great, I
the
can play Mag
DualShock,
more.
Hey, that's a
the
good
DualShock 3. It's a good controller. It is light. The triggers were the wrong direction. They made mistakes. I think it's a C tier though. It's still got good sticks, I think. It's definitely better than everything we have in D tier. I think it's at
Yeah.
least the C tier. I'm not saying it's PS2 is definitely better. The
say
original
this.
DualShock is better, but I think it's at least C tier.
Where
say this.
is the
If that's the
boomerang PS3 controller?
Yeah,
That
where
would
is
be
that
S
one?
tier.
I'll say this. I think the Duke feels better than the DualShock 3.
I mean, yes, you could
I would
kill a man with
agree.
the Duke. You could not kill anyone with
I would
the-
agree with you, Mike. I really hate.
So if we put the Duke, if we put DualShock 3 in C, I think we should put the Duke in C.
I think we should just move the
I mean, I'm
DualShock
fine
3.
giving that up. I don't care about that.
I think we should
but
just move the DualShock
is C.
3 down to D. Is my
Then move the Duke up. Switch.
oh.
Whoa.
I think
Spicy
I think
move.
just every single thing we just mentioned about the controller. The buttons feel worse than the PS2. They're squishier.
I disagree with that.
I don't think they feel as good. The trigger,
face buttons and the D-pad?
the triggers
I
aren't good.
don't-
The D-pad's fine. The D-pad's the one thing that I feel like is pretty similar. The sticks don't feel as good though. Absolutely, there's like a different tactile feel on the sticks of the
No, I disagree with that.
because of the lightness of it. They feel there's a different.
What I've learned in this discussion is Logan hates anything that is light.
Yes, I wanna hold like a
I'm
big.
surprised he didn't say. I'm surprised he didn't go. The Duke is God tier because it's so heavy.
Wii U
The
S
Wii U
tier.
gamepad.
On a real level, like the Duke. Okay, we're going back to the Duke now. The Duke actually doesn't feel terrible. It's just big. That's the only thing about it that's
It's
bad.
unwieldy.
It's just a big controller. I think in hand though, it feels good. It doesn't feel bad. I think
I have no
I think
beef with the Duke per se.
The
I
D-pad
just
the D-pad kind of sucks on it, but like other than that, I think it's a pretty good controller.
I think it's pretty good.
And I like it more than the DualShock 3. I think the DualShock 3. My thing is that if I ever had a controller that broke, it's automatically a bad controller to me. DualShock 3 broke on me, so I think it's a bad. Like the button got messed up.
I'll
if
say
we were ranking by by that standard, this list would be very different.
I would like to say I agree with Mike. Every time I dig my DualShock 3 controllers out of storage, they look like they have been through hell. And my GameCube controllers are like, we're brand new. I don't, dude. I just put them in storage, and they just gather dust, and they look horrible. Like, and again, I know things gather dust, like, but there's something I don't know. Like every time I get my PS3 controllers out, they're more grimy than any of my other controllers. It's hard to explain.
I have like N64 controllers over there.
I keep all my old gaming stuff in the same
I-
spot, Max.
and they look great. And then you get like an old PlayStation controller. I have a
I'm
old
just
PlayStation
picturing-
1 controller. Whatever, it doesn't feel great.
I'm just picturing Logan's pizza grease soaked 360 controller next to his pizza grease soaked PS3 controller, and he's like, "Look at this work of art that is the 360 controller. It's immaculate." And then over here, the DualShock is awful, and they're the same conditions.
It's also its motion stuff sucked.
Okay,
The
but that
6X
was only mandatory early on. It's not like that was integral.
But it's part of the controller. And it was bad.
I mean, who doesn't love throwing a grenade in Uncharted 1 with the 6-axis?
Also, wait,
you know what I'm
isn't the
saying?
6-axis different than the DualShock 3?
No.
Those are two
No,
different
they're the
controllers, aren't
same. No, the original, the 6-axis didn't have vibration motors, I believe, because the original PS3 controller got rid of vibration, and then there was such a controversy about that as removing feedback that they then brought vibration back in, which is now really funny in hindsight because the DualSense is all about its haptic motors and feedback that way.
Okay, we have one left.
Wikipedia tells
PS4.
me it's different than the DualShock 3.
That doesn't sound right to me.
Is one of them have vibration motors?
That might be what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The
we got
the
that.
DualShock 4 I say is A tier, and I can make an argument for S.
I think I'm kind of with the A tier, but
I think the
wouldn't be mad
DualShock
if it
4
went in
is immaculate. What's great about it is the longer handles. Being able to wrap my like bottom 2 or 3 fingers around those lower handles, and they just kind of comfortably sit there. Feels so nice.
So the DualShock 4 was nice. And now I think the DualSense has ruined the DualShock 4.
I would
for me.
agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I can't like going back to the DualShock 4. It feels like a boomerang. It feels foreign in a way.
Yeah.
My hand, like
Im-
the hand feels just different because it is a departure.
It's
Because the
skinnier.
DualShock 1, 2, and 3 were all the same shape essentially, right? And then they changed it with the 4, which was good for the console. But just like I don't know, it just feels weird. So I have a strangeness coming back to it after the PS4 generation.
I have a
A
pretty.
tier, sure-ish, maybe.
I'm with A tier. I think the DualShock 4 is like the reason why I even like a PlayStation controller now. So it's I think for the most part it fits perfectly in hand. I think the touch thing is kind of dumb, and I mean it's something that's carried.
It's got a
over to
light.
the next one.
Yeah, the light bar.
Got the light
No.
bar.
No.
But
No.
the DualSense.
What are
is
you
like
trying to say, Grant?
Eons better.
No, it's terrible. I had a PlayStation 4 for like a year before the 5 came out. I tore through like 2 or 3 of these controllers. and
This
they
is
were
so when
not
Mike
garbage.
mentioned controllers breaking, I was like, I can't tell you how many DualShock 4s I've gone through.
Yeah, this controller.
But
I
to
think
counter
on a
Grant,
real level,
it also has the baby Death Stranding controller with see-through yellow, so it's S tier.
No, I think this controller's B tier. I hate the buttons. I hate the triggers. I hate about everything on this controller.
Everything
compared to-
about this is better than the 3 previous DualShocks in terms of buttons, triggers. The buttons are great. The concave feel of L1 and LR. The fact that L2 and R2 actually give way and feel like you're pressing a trigger now, which is what they tried to do with the DualShock 3, and they didn't really do it well. Feels drastically better. I thought this is like controllers that I have the most fondness for. 360 in this controller for sure.
I mean definitely not fondness for, but like I said, it's like I would say like another deterrent is that the wasn't the battery life like terrible on it.
It got worse over time for sure.
It was like 8-hour battery life or something.
But what
Yeah,
are
I'm
people?
a gamer. I play those for.
Also-
I was gonna say, I hear people like writing into these podcasts I listen to. They're like, "You guys have problems with the battery life? I was playing this weekend for 10 hours straight, and I kept running out of batteries." It's like, well, bro, maybe you should stop playing for 10 hours straight. Anyway,
Also, I think longevity of a controller should be something to consider. I think if a controller breaks on you within like even a year, that's bad. That's a bad controller. That's bad design.
I've replaced
So-
my fair share of sticks on DualShock 4s.
And if that's the case, like I could see it going in B tier. I could see it going in B tier because 2 people here have had problems with one. So
Yeah.
okay, let's. Do we
We're
want to
gonna
start?
add DualShock
I was
to
gonna say,
this.
I don't.
DualShock. I can't make it.
We would all agree that DualShock is or DualSense is S. Right?
DualSense,
DualSense
Yeah.
has to be S. Yeah, for
DualSense
sure.
is S tier for sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I actually almost like prefer it more than the Xbox sometimes.
I
It depends on the
do.
day.
You know, there's another console kind of missing from this list. I'm again surprised that it wasn't included. The Ouya controller.
Don't forget about
yeah.
Google
Everyone-
Stadias.
Google
What about
Stadia,
Ultra Boys?
Google
console?
Stadia's controller.
Amazon
Let's
Luna.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just be real with the Stadia controller for a second. D-pad actually pretty good. Face buttons pretty clicky. Triggers, they were PS3 like, except they face the right way. The Stadia controller, not that bad actually. Has good heft, interesting rumble motor. B tier? There you go, Stadia.
All right, should we go? I think we should go from the bottom up to the top and lock this in and rank this in order.
Oh, okay. This is like me squinting at
So
the screen now. 'Cause we gotta
closest-
order it.
Closest to the, we'll go just
Letter
go
is
left.
better.
Yeah, letter closest to the letter is better. Sure. So we'll rank left to right. What is the best out of this D tier?
NES.
NES, Michael?
Yeah, because I think the Duke should get moved to C.
Oh,
You know, I would agree with Michael, actually. I think it should get moved to C. And the reason is it's got the same sort of level of weirdness as the N64, where the games are perfectly playable. It's just kind of funky how it sits in your hands. The only unforgiving controller that I feel like feels funky in your hands is Wii U and Dreamcast. Those are the two I'm not forgiving about.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would say, okay, I'm fine with NES being best,
Wii U worst.
Wii U worst, then Dreamcast, then Switch.
PlayStation. Yeah, Switch does too.
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
It's funny. I think
I
the
don't switch these
gamepad.
two
I think the gamepad is the most comfortable controller out of that whole list. I'm surprised it's toward the back.
I do think the NES controller is the most comfortable out of that list.
Huh.
I think it just kind of just sits in your hand at the end of the day.
I will say the
I
Joy-Con
would-
are better than PS1. I will say that.
I think the Wii U is
Wow.
actually really uncomfortable, especially for long
I
periods
think
of time.
I do too.
Like over an hour, it's like, hello, I might get arthritis or my wrist
Yeah.
will break off.
Yeah,
Huh.
I can't stand the Wii U over long stretches of time. I hate it.
Sounds like you guys have weak hands.
That's how I feel about the Switch sometimes too.
It sounds like you. Yeah, we have weak hands. You have sweaty ankles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is true. I do have sweaty ankles.
we all have our downfalls.
All right,
All right.
I'm fine with
Wii
that
Fit
list.
board. I just realized the Wii Fit board, is that a controller?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh.
S tier.
you could play.
Because
You could
Reggie
play,
stood on it.
you could play skate on that thing, so that is an S tier.
There's a
controller.
Tony Hawk skateboard controller. That's different though.
It's
C tier
Okay.
for this one. I would say
Put the
DualShock.
Genesis at the back.
DualShock 3 is at the back. I'm sorry. DualShock 3 is the worst of this bunch.
No.
I'm not
No.
By
sure it's
far.
the way.
Nah, the Genesis goes
That's
the
how I
back.
feel.
No, I don't think the Genesis is in the back.
I don't think the Genesis is in the back either.
Alright. It would if it was up to me, the N64 would go in the back.
I think.
Again, definitely in a minority in that one, so I'm not. Even gonna
Aye.
Oh,
I do like the Duke the more I think
Yeah.
about it. I like it
I-
in that top spot actually.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like in the top spot.
I'm
It
starting to
gets-
think about the games
the
I played
Duke
back
goes
then.
no higher.
No. The Duke at C.
Let's.
makes sense.
I want to keep this in
You
check
can go
here.
to S tier by the end.
The Duke had a long wire. If somebody tried to trip over the controller, it would break in the
Do
middle
you
portion of the
remember-
wire. And you could
Do you
remember that
remember-
you could plug it back in. You
Oh,
could
yeah,
like
of
separate it
Yes.
so that it wouldn't rip your console out.
20
Or
minutes
whatever.
ago, a wire was a bad thing.
No, this is a feature, Max.
Yeah,
This is a
feature.
feature of the controller.
Wait, this makes
Oh,
it better.
okay.
It should be moved up to B tier. That's a good thing. That's a B tier controller now.
All right. No, I think the N64 is better than the Genesis.
I would
The Genesis
agree- I
had
would-
a mushy D-pad.
I would agree with
And-
Max. Move N64 up a spot. Just like as long as we keep DualShock 3 at the end. I hate
Nah,
that
I think
controller.
DualShock just controls and feels better than Genesis. I think the Genesis 3-button is also very light. I like so your lightness. I think is
We
a
have-
moot point here.
We have 4 different
And
better
the-
versions of the DualShock higher up.
We're not comparing it to that. We're comparing it to a 3-button Genesis, which is a grimy little plastic brick with
It's not grimy.
mush.
PS3
Yeah,
controller.
It was that pizza key with Trey.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think the DualShock is better than a 3-button Genesis controller. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just
I
happy
think
where
we
the
should
Duke
switch
is,
those
so
two.
I don't care where they go at the end of this one.
B tier.
Top
is PS4.
Can't.
Top is I think PS4 is
way.
top.
Oh, PS4. Yeah, sure. Okay, PS4 and then Xbox. The S controller is what it's called.
What is?
I think Pro controllers.
Is that a 6-button?
Yeah, we can put the 6-button Genesis controller towards the back
At
for
the-
sure.
Back.
All right.
It's great for the classics, but it doesn't match up with the others. I'll agree to that. Huh.
I'm fine
I
with
like-
that order actually as it is.
I like the S more than the Pro controller, but the Xbox S controller more than the.
I like the Pro controller quite a bit.
I do
Again,
like the
I'm
Pro
not-
controller
for
for
to
a
be
minute.
an A,
But
I'm
Again,
perfectly
is it-
content
is it-
with that order.
I think I'm good with
again,
that order too.
I got a
It's fine.
spicier.
It's
demand.
fine.
Let's
The only
put
one
that.
I would maybe switch would be Wii Remote and PlayStation. Well, actually, that's the PS1 DualShock. I'm sorry, I thought that was PS2. Nope, that's fine. I'm actually good with that then.
All right, sweet. A tier.
Xbox 360, Xbox 360,
I- I-
Xbox
yeah, I think-
360.
Yeah,
And then I think PS2 is a front of the.
I think the Super.
I
NES
would
is in the middle.
I would switch PlayStation and Xbox, but I think that's a symmetrical stick feeling in me.
I think I would put Super Nintendo second, actually.
That's where I'm at.
I'm more PlayStation. I don't like those smaller controllers.
I literally am holding a Super Nintendo controller right now.
Grant
It
is
feels
like
very
7
good.
feet tall, and his hands are the size of.
Yeah, DSXL. Woohoo!
Yes. I
But
can understand why Grant would not like those.
I think the tier list is done.
What would we order
No,
for
I'm
S tier?
I'm kind of with it.
Nope, I'm about ready to say something.
No,
What would we?
This gets moved
No.
down.
Yes, yes, yes.
And it's
GameCube
just
top? I'm
And
fine with
then-
that.
Just the game.
no
Where it
DualSense.
belongs.
DualSense is up there too.
This is not.
Oh shit!
DualSense is in front of GameCube controller.
no.
No.
I
No.
agree with
Yeah.
Grant. I agree with Grant.
DualSense
No.
is-
No.
Let me tell you right now. No one in here owns a DualSense Edge, but me.
That's
That
the DualSense
thing-
Edge. That's a different controller.
No, it's like the
No.
highest, most.
You
Talk about
Sure,
control. No, you know how
you
you're
can't
like.
bring it up because
No.
we didn't bring up the elites at all.
I know, but I'm just saying. You know how Max this whole time's been like, "Oh, I know, Logan likes heft." That is a DualSense with heft,
Let me-
and it
you
is
wanna know
so
about
nice.
The DualSense
You
already
want a
has that.
controller with heft? Let me introduce you to my friend, the Wavebird.
He got
Those
me.
AA batteries be
No.
carrying lots of heft.
How
Yeah.
about this?
That would be
How
S
about this?
tier.
Nintendo 64 controller with a rumble pack.
Yes,
Yeah, you
actually, yes. That makes, dude, that makes a huge difference in that controller.
does.
I'm not kidding. That turns
does.
that controller into something else, baby. That controller takes a
Like
drastic
Starbucks.
leap forward when you put a rumble pack in.
This list is accurate. The GameCube is the GOAT.
No.
DualSense.
leave.
We're,
can
we're,
leave.
we're putting a DualSense in front of the GameCube controller for the
No.
I cannot abide by that.
I think the
That
DualSense is-
unacceptable.
I think the DualSense
The
is the
DualSense-
greatest video game controller ever
DualSense-
created. It's not even really
The
close.
DualSense dies in like 2 hours. I actually today bought a charging dock because it's just not like they're not charging through the cable
Hey, Max.
that's connected to the PlayStation.
Max, dock D's nuts in your mouth.
You can dock the DualSense down to D tier. The GameCube is the god, the greatest controller ever made. It will outlast the DualSense. It has no drift issues, and the Wavebird is perfect. People will be using a GameCube controller longer than they will be using a DualSense controller.
I don't know about that.
That's only because Smash Brothers fans can't learn to adapt on anything else.
Yeah, that's only
This
because
is true.
that's only because the melee scene will still be hauling around CRTs in 20
I'm
years.
saying right now, if it were allowed, I would use a GameCube controller on literally every console. It is so perfect. There is
The
nothing.
GameCube
No,
controller
that
is
sounds like the worst thing.
central
so
design.
good.
No way.
You're telling me you want to play God of War Ragnarok with the GameCube
want-
controller?
Absolutely, yes,
okay.
I would.
You're telling me
Let's
you
talk
played
about this.
Days Gone with the GameCube controller?
I don't think I'd play
Haptic
Days Gone at
triggers.
all.
Talk about spring-loaded triggers with the most satisfying click ever put in a controller. The GameCube is god tier.
I think those, not to get into a whole thing, but I think those triggers are the worst part of the GameCube
You
controller.
better be quiet. You just need to stop right now. You just need to.
I think those I think those triggers
are good.
I think those triggers are good for Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, and Smash. And that's the list.
I like how sensitive they are because I was playing. What was I playing? I was playing Beautiful Joe the other day, and I think that uses the triggers in it. And you just have to just a little light tap, nice little light tap. You don't have to click it.
You know,
It's
really,
all the
they're the
time.
original haptic trigger
Yeah,
levels
you
of
can,
resistance.
You can go as far down as you want, and they're perfect. They just work. Again, it just works, guys. it just works. Great controller.
Okay. It's
The DualSense
beautiful.
hasn't
It's
been out as
designed.
long as the GameCube controller. We need some time to get some
I
more
think
information, but
the
still
one-
it's way better.
I think the one improvement the GameCube controller have, or two, I guess, is a D-pad. D-pad could get a revision.
Why do you need
and
a
then if-
D-pad
and
for
if-
Smash?
And
All
then
this
if and
stuff,
then if
but-
the, and then if the C stick had like a flat top instead of the one like nub. That's it. Other than that, I think it's a perfect controller. There's legitimately nothing wrong with it. Otherwise,
There we go. Mike speaks the truth. The list is locked.
If anybody,
God bless.
AC Rumble though.
I am consistently using a GameCube controller and a DualSense controller like every day, and I prefer a GameCube controller over it.
I have
By far.
I have one final question, and then we should probably wrap up because I feel like we've gone a long time. Grant, did you enjoy this? Did this make you feel like the presidents?
I wish I didn't call enough people Sleepy Joe. Making up president jokes.
Did you guys see today that not to get all political, but did you see today Joe Biden was like, "Hey guys, here's my bracket. I got Arizona winning," and then Arizona immediately lost 2 hours later. That's a good one, Mike. I enjoy this. You got to show me how to use these tools after this episode ends.
Will
all right,
do.
Grant.
All right, sweet. That's all we have for today. Just remember, DualSense is better than the GameCube controller. But where can we find each of you? Myself, Grant _Callahan on Twitter. That's probably the only place I'll be tweeting at. Logan, you?
Moreman12 on Twitter if you want to find me there.
Tell him about Joy-Con drift. He likes that. A lot of DMs. Max, go.
Find me over at maxfrequency.net and on Twitter at maxroberts143.
All right, and young Mike.
And I'm looking up different GameCube controller related URLs to purchase.
Please leave. Get out of here. All right, Mike.
You can follow me on, I think, any social platform if you want to, at the Michael J. Ruiz.
All right, sweet. And that wraps it up for our episode.
I can buy GameCube controller.best for $95.
Or you can just get the Resident Evil GameCube controller, the chainsaw.
With the chainsaw. Again, further solidifying the S tier status of the GameCube controller. One of the greatest designs ever made. And I'm upset that they aren't reviving it for the remake. What a missed opportunity.
Can't believe we don't have the Wu-Tang controller in here.
Well,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it for tonight. So we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
With Mario.
I love you, Mario.
We love you, Mario.
Bye, Mario.